this is a state issue, and this is an issue that the people of the state of Texas overwhelmingly support. And so I don't know who she's playing to, but she's not playing to the people of Texas, and I don't think she's playing to the Americans that believe that the sanctity of the vote is really important, and you need to have a photo ID to go vote. It's that simple. The people of Texas wanted it, and whichever state Hillary Clinton considers to be her home state,
what about her
she goes home and she argues there not to have it.
All right, joining us now, Jonathan Tobin, senior editor for Commentary Magazine. Jonathan, you wrote a great piece, Hillary Needs a Faux War on Voting Rights. I mean, she obviously is appealing or trying to appeal to a very small select segment of the population. Tell us who and why, because the latest Rasmussen poll, which ironically came out like a day before she said this, showed that 76% of Americans favor voter ID, and even a majority of Democrats favor voter ID.
That's absolutely right, Steve. There's been broad support for the idea of voter ID, of photo ID for voting. You need photo ID to do just about any transaction in this country, to travel, to bank, to buy drugs, to use a pharmacy. It's a crazy kind of issue because the vast majority of Americans back it, even the majority of African Americans. But this is ginning up a faux crisis, a war on voting rights, is absolutely necessary to Clinton's 2016 campaign. She is going hard for the Democratic base, and she knows that Democratic base is not going to turn out for her as readily as they did for Barack Obama. And the only way that she can try to do that is to convince African Americans that, as Joe Biden said a few years ago, that Republicans are trying to put them back into chains. And this is an entirely bogus issue, as bogus as the war on women, but maybe even more so.
Now, I agree with everything you said, but I don't know, the little fly in the ointment here might be that, as you said, a majority of African Americans favor voter ID. So she would have to really convince them that their feelings aren't correct.
Yeah, because she's not actually talking that much about the specific measures. She's not arguing the merits of voter ID because, her position doesn't really have much merit. All she's doing, and it can be an effective tactic, it's worked for Democrats in the past, is basically to wave the bloody shirt of Jim Crow and segregation and to claim that Republicans are trying to revive it, trying to stop blacks from voting. This isn't happening. It really isn't the issue. But if you say it often enough, maybe you can convince enough people that there really is a crisis. That's the conceit of her strategy.
All right, so the closest thing to a Jew ever to sit in the Oval Office, one Barack Hussein Obama, follows up the revelation of that comment by going on Israeli Channel 2 and talking, trashing Netanyahu, saying he might not be able to stop a Palestinian state. And then, most disturbingly, when talking about Iran in that interview, talks about how he was such an admirer of Israel when he was a young man. He admired their values and what made the state so great as a democracy. And now, in a condescending, in my view, anti-Semitic, disgusting way, he's afraid that Israel is giving up some of those values that he so admired when he was a young man, and they're in danger of going away from their democracy. I wanted to puke.
There's so much to unwrap in that terrible interview that we don't have time for it. I will say this. Clearly he's condescending. He's talking about a mythical Israel, not the real Israel. He doesn't understand the reality of Israel. He doesn't understand the Palestinians or Iran. I'll just say one more thing about that interview, which really got my goat, Steve. In it, he repeated his claim that Iran had frozen its nuclear program.
Right.
Its interim deal. That very day, the New York Times, not Newsmax, not commentary,
said that the Pentagon
it had increased by 20%
yes.
the last 2 years.
Look, every time he says it, it's on the heels of the IAEA saying, we don't know what they're doing. And now, you're right, when he said it this time, that Times story came out. He's a joke.
Juxtaposition is crazy, but the thing is we have to realize is that when it comes to Iran, as the old expression goes, if his lips are moving, you know what he's doing.
Right. Well, when it comes to Barack Obama, if his lips are moving, we know what he's doing, and it doesn't matter what the issue, I'm afraid. Hey, great to talk to you as always, sir. Thank you.
Great to be with you, Steve.
All right, folks. So we're coming back, but first, Daily Wrap co-host Rick Unger joins us to give us a preview of tonight's Daily Wrap that follows this show at 7 Eastern.
Thanks, Steve. Tonight on The Wrap, with the Supreme Court just days away from a decision that could devastate Obamacare, we survey the public to see just how they feel about the possible end to the government subsidies that currently help millions to pay their health insurance premiums. Then controversy strikes yet again at another police force as an officer in McKinney, Texas, is placed on administrative leave after allegedly wrestling an unarmed 17-year-old girl to the ground and pointing his weapon at some teenage boys attending a graduation party. And presidential contender Lindsey Graham welcomes Caitlyn Jenner, aka Bruce Jenner, into the Republican Party. But will the rest of Graham's party be quite so welcoming? We'll find out tonight on the Daily Wrap, immediately following the Malzberg Show here on Newsmax TV. Join us.
Very good. Boom.